I'd been footing the bill for my younger brother Jason's rent, and not just his, but his girlfriend Lisa's too. It started off as a favor, just something to help him out while he got back on his feet after losing his job. I didn't really overthink it at the time. He was my brother, and that's what family does, we look out for each other. At the beginning, he swore it was only going to be temporary. Just a couple months, man. I'll pay you back once I land something steady. I didn't care about the money. I wasn't looking to be repaid, I just genuinely wanted to help. But as the months rolled on, the excuses started piling up like dirty laundry. The job market's brutal. Lisa's trying to get more hours. We're this close to catching a break. I didn't press too hard. I figured, hey, I had a steady paycheck coming in. Helping them out wasn't hurting me. And I sure didn't expect anything in return. But life has a funny way of throwing you a curveball when you least see it coming. Out of the blue one day, I got laid off, just like that. No heads up, no severance package, just a short, awkward sit-down where my boss thanked me for my time and handed me a cardboard box for my stuff. As I walked out of that office, my head was spinning: rent, bills, how long could my savings hold out? The fear hit fast, but I took a deep breath and told myself I'd figure it out. I just needed a little breathing room to regroup. So, swallowing my pride, I reached out to Jason. I wasn't asking for anything major, just a little support covering my rent for a month or two while I got back on my feet. Considering everything I'd done for him, I figured he'd get it. But when I told him what was going on, he just laughed. Lisa laughed too, like I just told the punchline to some dumb joke. That sucks, man, Jason said, shaking his head. But, not our problem. Something inside me cracked. For a second, I honestly thought I'd heard him wrong. What? I asked, keeping my voice steady even though my chest was tight. He leaned back on the couch, arms stretched like he didn't have a care in the world. Look, dude. I know losing your job sucks. Lisa gave me this smug little smirk, shaking her head like I was some clueless fool. We're barely scraping by ourselves. You know how rough things are out there, she added. I stared at them, trying to wrap my head around what I was hearing. I had covered their rent for 7 straight months. Paid their utility bills. Even tossed them extra cash when they said they couldn't afford groceries. And now, the one time I needed a hand, they were acting like I didn't even exist. I tried one more time, doing my best to keep my tone level. I'm not asking for much. Just a little help, just for now. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even have a place to live, I said, trying to hold back the frustration. Jason rolled his eyes. Look, man. We appreciate everything, okay? But it's not like we begged you. Lisa crossed her arms. Exactly. That was your choice. We didn't ask you to do any of it. I felt my fists tighten without even realizing it. I never wanted them to grovel or kiss my feet, but this? This was flat-out disrespect. Jason must have seen the look on my face, because he gave a nervous laugh. Come on, don't get weird about it. You'll figure something out. You always do. I stood up slowly, something in me going cold. Yeah, I said quietly, heading toward the door. I always do. And that's when I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to beg. I was just going to stop paying and let them deal with the fallout. I walked out of Jason's place without another word. Yeah, I was angry, but more than that, I felt a strange calm settle over me, a quiet, icy clarity. For months, I'd been the one holding their lives together behind the scenes. They knew it too. They just never imagined I'd stop. So that night, I did exactly that. I logged into my bank account and canceled the auto payments for their rent and utility bills. No warnings. No heads up. Just a few clicks, and I was done. I sat there in my chair, staring at the screen, feeling like I could finally breathe. Jason and Lisa probably wouldn't even notice for a while. Their rent wasn't due for another 2.5 weeks, and I just paid off the utilities. So they'd keep going on like everything was normal, completely unaware that the rug was already being pulled out from under them. And I wasn't about to warn them. If they had the nerve to say not our problem, then they could handle their own mess when it showed up at the door. That night, I slept better than I had in months. A whole month went by. At first? Silence. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I pictured them living like usual, ordering takeout, streaming shows, lounging around all on my dime, thinking the rent fairy had everything covered like always. Then the first call came. It was a Saturday afternoon when my phone started buzzing. Jason's name lit up on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, he tried again. Then again. I leaned back on my couch with a little grin. Guess the landlord finally came knocking. Next came a text. Jason, dude, what's going on? Just got a call from the landlord. He says rent wasn't paid? I ignored it. 5 minutes later. Jason, bro, I thought you were covering this. What happened? I let him sweat it out a little longer. An hour passed. Jason, dude, this is serious. We're already late on rent. He says we've only got a few days before eviction starts. Call me. I finally texted him back, just 2 words. Me, not my problem. Then I tossed my phone on silent and went about enjoying the rest of my day. When I got home that night, my phone was loaded with missed calls and frantic texts. Jason had gone full panic mode. Jason, come on, dude. This isn't funny. The landlord says we have 3 days to pay or we're out. Jason, you've always helped before, why stop now? Jason, bro, pick up the phone. Lisa, wow. Real mature. You could have at least warned us. Now we're about to be homeless because of you. Nice. That one actually made me laugh out loud. Because of me? No, they were about to be homeless because they'd spent nearly a year freeloading off me and never once thought to prepare for the day when I might not be there to clean up their mess. I waited until midnight before responding, just enough time to let them sit in the reality they built. Me, not my problem. Same exact words they'd thrown at me when I was the one reaching out for help. The reaction was immediate. Jason, are you serious right now? Lisa, you're a selfish piece of garbage. Jason again, I can't believe you're doing this to your own family. Ah, there it was, the good OL family card. Funny how that only ever got pulled out when they needed something from me. I tossed my phone on the nightstand and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to a long voicemail from Jason. His voice sounded strained, desperate, even. Listen, man. I know we've had our differences, okay? But you can't just leave us like this. We've got nowhere to go. Lisa's freaking out. The landlord's not giving us any more time. Just help with this 1 month, I swear I'll figure something out after that. For a brief second, I actually considered replying. Almost. But then I remembered how he laughed when I told him I lost my job. The way Lisa smirked, like I was some kind of pathetic joke. That voicemail? I deleted it and went on with my day like it never happened. 3 days passed. Then I got the message. Jason, thanks a lot, man. We got evicted. Hope you're happy. And you know what? For the first time in a long time. I really was. The day after the eviction, just like I figured, Jason showed up at my apartment. I was in the kitchen, making my morning coffee, when I heard the knock, hard, rushed, angry. I didn't hurry. Took my time setting down my mug, then walked over to the door and opened it. There he was. Jason looked like hell, hair wild, eyes tired, clothes wrinkled like he'd been sleeping in them. Lisa wasn't with him, and that told me everything I needed to know. She probably bailed the second things got too real. Dude, what the hell, he barked, pushing his way into the apartment. You seriously just let us get kicked out? I closed the door behind him and folded my arms. I didn't let you do anything, Jason. You got yourselves evicted. He spun around, looking at me like I'd just smacked him. Oh, come on, man. We didn't think you were actually gonna stop paying. You should have said something. I raised an eyebrow. You mean, like how you gave me a heads up when you told me my problems weren't your problem? His mouth opened, but nothing came out. I let the silence stretch. I carried you for months, I said quietly. Paid your rent, covered your bills, helped you eat. Never asked for anything. Then when I needed help, you laughed in my face. Jason rubbed the back of his neck, his voice dropping. I didn't mean it like that, bro. I was just, he trailed off and shook his head. Look, I messed up, okay? But we're family. I don't have anywhere else to go. I sighed, pressing my fingers to my temples. So what, you want to stay here now? He hesitated. Then nodded. Just for a little while. Just until I figure something out. I looked at him. Really looked. The nerve it took to show up here like this, after everything. I let out a soft laugh. No. Jason's face twisted. What do you mean, no? I mean no, I said again, firmer. You're on your own. Just like you told me I was. He let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Dude, don't do this. Why not? I tilted my head slightly. It's not my problem. His jaw clenched. I could see the frustration rising in him, but he didn't have a leg to stand on. So that's it, he said, voice tight. You're just gonna leave me hanging? I shrugged. Guess you'll figure something out. You always do, right? He didn't respond right away. Just stood there, breathing hard, eyes darting around like he was searching for the right words. Eventually, he exhaled sharply, shaking his head. Wow. You're really gonna be like this? I opened the door wide. Good luck, Jason. He stared at me for a second, and for a flicker of a moment, I thought I saw regret in his eyes. But it passed. Instead, he muttered, whatever, and walked out. I shut the door behind him and slid the lock into place. And for the first time in years, I felt completely free. Over the next few days, I half expected him to reach out again. Maybe a text, maybe a guilt trip, maybe even a fake apology just to get back in. But, nothing. At first, I thought it was some kind of silent treatment move. His way of punishing me for not falling back in line. Then I heard from a mutual friend. Jason had been crashing on random couches, moving from one friend's place to another, staying with anyone who hadn't caught on yet. Lisa? Just like I figured, she ditched him the second things got messy. Moved back in with her parents. And surprise, surprise, they didn't want Jason around either. I'll admit it, a petty part of me felt a bit of satisfaction watching it all come full circle. The guy who once laughed at me for struggling was now out there scrambling just to stay afloat. But that little burst of justice didn't last long. About a week after his surprise visit, my phone lit up again. This time, it was Mom. I sighed before answering. I knew exactly what was coming. The second I said hello, she was already going off. What is wrong with you? I pinched the bridge of my nose. Hi, Mom. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. She didn't skip a beat. Jason told me everything. You let your own brother get thrown out on the street? I let out a dry chuckle. Let him? Mom, he had months to get his act together. He chose not to. He thought you were gonna keep helping him, she snapped. You should have told him you were cutting him off. Oh, you mean like how he told me my problems weren't his to worry about? She huffed. That's different. Is it? I asked quietly. She didn't respond right away. When she finally spoke again, her voice was softer. Honey, he's your brother. You're supposed to look out for each other. I leaned back in my chair. Funny, I don't remember him doing that when I needed help. That was just, she sighed. You know how Jason is. He makes dumb choices, but he doesn't mean to hurt anyone. I shook my head. Mom, he keeps making dumb choices because he never faces any consequences. He expects me to keep bailing him out, and every time I do, it just makes things worse. She was quiet for a few seconds. I could tell she wanted to push back, but deep down, she knew I was right. Still, she couldn't help herself. So what, you're just going to do nothing? Just let him struggle? I took a slow breath. Yeah, Mom. I am. Because it's not my problem. There was a long pause on the other end. Then, finally, she let out a soft, weary sigh. I just wish you two could work things out. I didn't respond. Because in my mind, I had worked things out. I finally understood that family isn't just about blood, it's about respect. And Jason never respected me. Not once. So why keep sacrificing for someone who wouldn't lift a finger for me? Eventually, Mom mumbled a quiet goodbye and hung up. I set my phone down, leaned back, and just sat there in the silence. I didn't feel angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I was just free. I was just done. Completely over it. The next few weeks were peaceful. No more phone calls. No more guilt-tripping texts. No more Jason trying to worm his way back into my life like nothing happened. Sure, I thought about him every now and then, wondered how he was holding up. Last I heard, he was still couch surfing, still unemployed, still looking for his next easy fix. Deep down, I figured he'd show up eventually, maybe toss out a weak apology or some half-baked promise to pay me back. But he never did. Instead, I got a call I didn't expect. Not from Jason. From his old landlord. At first, I was confused. Why the hell would he be calling me? I was never on the lease. Never lived there. All I did was cover the rent. Out of the goodness of my heart and a whole lot of misplaced loyalty. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. Hello? Hey, the landlord said, sounding hesitant. I know you're not officially tied to the unit, but I figured I'd give you a heads up. Your brother, well, he left kind of a mess. My stomach tightened. What kind of mess? He sighed. Holes in the walls, garbage piled up, stains I honestly don't even want to describe. I was gonna cover it with the security deposit, but he paused. Thing is, Jason never paid one. Since you were covering rent, I guess he just never bothered. I clenched my jaw. Of course he didn't. So what's this got to do with me? I asked. Well, technically nothing, he admitted. But Jason said you were the one who had been paying, and he kind of implied you might be willing to cover the damages. I laughed. A real laugh. One of those you've gotta be kidding me kind of laughs. Let me get this straight, I said, still chuckling. He trashed the place, didn't pay a deposit, didn't pay a dime of rent, and now he thinks I should be the one to clean up his mess? There was a pause. Then the landlord, in a much smaller voice, mumbled, Yeah, that's what I figured. I shook my head. Sorry, man. Jason's choices, Jason's problem. I'm not his safety net anymore. I hear you, he said quickly. Just thought I'd ask. In case, you still cared. I do care, I said with a shrug. Just not enough to save him again. We hung up, and I leaned back in my chair, shaking my head. Jason hadn't changed. Still the same guy, pushing his mess onto anyone who'd take it. But that wasn't me anymore. I'd carried him long enough. And when I needed help? He laughed in my damn face. That's not family. That's just someone using you until you're empty. So yeah, I was done. For good. Another month went by. Jason faded into the background like a bad memory. Without his bill sucking me dry, my finances finally started breathing again. I had money left at the end of the month. No more choosing between my needs and his survival. And man, it felt good. I started treating myself here and there. Nothing big, just small things I'd denied myself for way too long. A decent steak dinner. A weekend getaway. Little reminders that I mattered, too. That my money was mine again. Then one night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown, hey man, it's been a while. Can we talk? I stared at it for a second before realizing, Jason. Of course. I debated leaving it on read. But curiosity won out. Me, talk about what? There was a long pause. Typing bubble, then nothing. Then finally. Jason, look, I know I screwed up. I should have helped you when you needed it. I was being selfish. I get that now. I sat there, reading it twice. For a brief moment, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, he was finally owning up to his crap. Then another message came in. Jason, I just need a little help, man. Nothing crazy. Just a place to crash for a week or two while I get back on my feet. And there it was. Same cycle. Same script. I've seen this movie too many times. A week would turn into a month. A month into 6. He'd come up with excuse after excuse for why he still wasn't working, why he couldn't pay for groceries, why I should be the one covering for him again. I wasn't going down that road. So I waited a beat. Then typed out a simple reply. Me, sorry. Not my problem. Seconds later, my phone rang. Jason's name lit up the screen. I let it ring. When it stopped, another text came through. Jason, are you seriously gonna do this to your own brother? But I didn't respond. Because the truth is, he did this to himself. I turned off my phone, kicked my feet up, and soaked in the silence. Jason had finally run out of people to dump his problems on. And he was gonna have to live with that. Days went by. No more calls. No more texts. No messages from mom trying to guilt me into doing the right thing. Just peace. And honestly, I needed that. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. I wasn't angry anymore. Not bitter either. I was just free. Eventually, I bumped into a mutual friend who brought up Jason. Yeah, he's still bouncing around, they said. Crashes wherever he can. Complains a lot. Says nobody's helping him. But honestly? He's fine. Just needs to get his act together. I nodded. Didn't say much. I didn't feel pity. Didn't feel pride either. Just relief. Jason's life was his to handle now. Not mine. As for me? I was finally living my own. And I wasn't looking back.